everybody. I'm Tom Reynolds. I'm hosting TYT Community tonight for Jeff. I'd like to thank Jeff for giving me this opportunity. And I'm with Nick, who's saving me and bailing me out whenever I make an ass out of myself. So thank you for that.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, and here's me. I'm Jeff in the producer's booth. So
Jeff is no longer a physical being at this point. He has transcended space and time.
Sky God.
Indeed.
Being.
I've been raptured.
Just this black blob. That's Jeff.
So I am sort of back here after being half raptured. So.
See, I got two great guys.
Did you see Steven up there? I keep wanting to check if Steven's there yet.
No, he's not here. You think Steven's going to be raptured? No, he's going to go the other direction.
He was that one time, and then they brought him back.
No,
that's to send him back.
He will be raptured.
They're going to send him the other way, is what they're doing.
He'll be raptured out of spite, because God is a spiteful bitch.
I'll take it. Okay.
So, moving on. First story up. This actually happened on the 16th. So it's a little bit of an old story, but I wanted to cover it nonetheless because gun violence is a big thing, and we had the FSU shooting that we didn't really cover. But this isn't that. This is something that was a little bit more traumatic, and I get my hair out of my eye, and quite. The most I could say about it is at least it's not Florida. A 13-year-old shot dead by a gun that accidentally went off in a nearby hotel room. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. A 13-year-old teen from Louisville, North Carolina, was killed while lying down in his hotel room Saturday after a bullet accidentally fired in an adjacent room struck him. WGHP reports. This is from Raw Story. This is all sorts of wrong to me. The guy was a convicted criminal. Shouldn't have had guns. He's dealt with cops in the past. He was apparently at approximately 11 p.m. a woman was in the room, called 911. She had no idea what happened to the teen, only that he was bleeding profusely from a bump in the head, and apparently it was because of the gunshot. Nick, thoughts? I mean, this whole story is just sad, and
I'm gonna go full Dan Spearin on this one today.
Okay.
Dan, I know Dan has occasionally said that you guys in the United States have no idea how crazy some of this stuff sounds to Canadians. I know it's tragic, and I know you guys get that absolutely, and I'm sure some of you think this is crazy, but just the whole circumstances surrounding this, and the simple fact that this convicted felon had firearms, which it seems like he had them legally, because I didn't see anywhere in the story anything about him having firearms against the law or violating any sort of criminal records or anything like that. So sounds like he had them legally. And then he accidentally discharges it and it kills someone in another room.
Yeah, and
that's just all kinds of insanity to us.
Yeah, and it's just one of the saddest gun stories I've seen, quite honestly. And this kid was in town for like this soccer tournament and everything else. So this was supposed to be like a happy time for the kid. That's why he was in North Carolina. And this, I'm going to go the shocking route. I like to call it this whenever I see a story like this. This partial birth abortion happened where a kid got shot by a gun who needlessly died from this. The reason I call it that is because we're supposed to be all sorts of upset when a partial birth abortion happens, even though sometimes you need to medically have them. Well, I call it this to kind of like equate that and put that visual in maybe the right-wing nuts head. So maybe that might come across a little bit cleaner. Because it doesn't. You'll see like the Jay Leno story that we're going to do next. The comment section about us liberals are worried about an inanimate object. Well, he wasn't even in the same room and he got shot. You know, It's all sorts of wrong and depressing, and it's when are we going to learn what this? When are we going to just not allow this to happen? And when you even talk to reasonable conservatives, not ones who like troll YouTube chat rooms or, you know, the Unite Blue or anything like that, when you talk to reasonable conservatives, they're like, yeah, I'm okay with a background check because I don't want some crazies, I don't want to have to shoot some crazy son of a, you know, but this is all NRA and this is all to sell more guns. Look at Ferguson with the more gun sales being higher than ever because it's to gin up fear and gun sales go up. What do you think, as a Canadian, Nick, what do you think a solution to our gun problem would be?
The 28th Amendment, for starters. Get your goddamn money out of your politics, so that way you can, you know, have actual elections and maybe put in office people who will actually not be bought by lobbying groups. That would be step one. Other than that, I don't know, because there does seem to be a substantial culture among the very vocal minority of conservatives, i.e. the talk show hosts, the politicians, and the like. There seems to be an enormous disconnect from reality and with these people, where they don't seem to be able to understand that. I think probably my favorite example of things like that is Sean Hannity saying that, oh, when I get pulled over by an officer, I just tell him, oh, I got this gun here, I'm legally allowed to carry this gun, and he's talking about it and expecting it to be like, oh, well, see, black people, why don't you just do that? I mean, then everything's fine. And it does not seem to even remotely fathom that that doesn't work, and they try, and it doesn't matter.
Tom, I have a question here. You said he was a convicted felon, right? And
Vader had a long history with law enforcement, having served time in prison on charges ranging from violating a restraining order to communicating threats to a hit and run.
So he was not. So let me get this straight. He was not able to legally carry a firearm, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a thought about this already. First of all, we have this glut of over 300 million guns in this country, right? We've got too many guns, and it's very, very easy to get a hold of those guns. And the other thing is that it kind of might make it like a conservative would take a look at this point and see you can't keep criminals from getting guns even with gun control, and that would be the devil's advocate argument.
No, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, and my whole point is, yeah, you're right, and that's why we need uniform, at least laws on the federal level to be able to do something about this to try and deter this. At least it's a start, because yes, this was an accident, but this kid died needlessly, you know, and I bet, like, this is another question, you, Nick. If the 20th Amendment got passed, right, and we got money out of politics, do you think even some moderate Republicans that would typically be too afraid to vote for background checks and different, like, say a Surgeon General who said that guns are a medical issue, do you think those moderate Republicans who might be willing to vote for them and pass those, get some, because they don't have to worry about money being held over their head? Or do you think they'd still have those stances and go Republican GOP party line?
Yes and no. I think it would depend on their district and what their constituents wanted. Which, you know what, fair enough in that case. I mean, in that case, they're at least representing the people that they claim to represent. If those people happen to hold a view like that, it has to be at least partially represented. In that case, the goal is to try and win the hearts and minds of the people of the district to change that. But I think the shakeup would be substantial enough, and there would be enough new faces that would be willing to do that and wouldn't be afraid of money or its influence because it wouldn't be a factor anymore, that it would probably change the playing field.
Okay, here's another question. We get money out of politics. Do you think there would still be, because most of the media is right-wing, even though it's ironically called the left-wing media echo chamber, do you think the right-wing would, with their powerhouses like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh, would shame them for voting that way, even though money is out of politics?
Yes, they absolutely would. We've seen media, shame people consistently. Not just mainstream big time media, but other media as well, even when there is no financial incentive to do so. So, yeah, that would happen.
Okay.
These people hold certain views. They are extreme views. They do not necessarily represent the majority, but they have a way, in some cases, a way with words and a way of riling people up, especially the people who don't really do their homework well enough.
Yeah.
But yes, of course that would happen a bit. But the impact of that would be lessened, I think. I don't think the mainstream media is quite as powerful as it's touted to be. I don't think Sean Hannity or any of them have that kind of clout. I think it just so happens that they say things that businesses coincidentally agree with, and then it might make the media seem like they have bigger clout than they do. But I don't think a lot of that media does. But regardless, they would change.
Nick, I can point at a local election to prove that to you. There was a Louisiana district where a Democrat, or a Democratic Party member, I'm trying to get out of saying a Democrat, because there is no such thing, but a Democratic Party candidate won over like 5 different Republicans, and one of them was actually Phil Robertson's nephew. This was the one that we covered here on TYT Community. I covered on Some Say, and even got a lot of press because Hannity endorsed him, came out and endorsed him on air the night before Election Day. This was also the congressman who got in the flap with making out with the videotape. I can't remember his name, but that was covered as well here. And so I think you're right in that, where we give them a little bit more credit than it's due with their big mouths.
Yes, they don't have as much power as they think.
See, I was getting somewhere on that train.
Yes, they do have some, but yeah, no, this is just all kinds of tragic and crazy, very, very, very crazy. The idea of that happening anywhere, especially here in Canada, is ridiculous, because a lot of people own guns. You don't ever really see any of them open carry or concealed carry either. At all.
Well, because we're a nation that is not necessarily afraid, but we're built on...
You're a nation that has always perceived the outside world as a threat consistently since its founding. You're a nation that has that wanted to initially in its inception cut off all ties from Europe and avoid trade with them because you believed the city on the hill concept would be secure and enough to build a prosperous nation. You're a nation that throughout the 19th century engaged in, especially conservative press, engaged in substantial fear-mongering of Jesuits and the Catholic Church, because you believed a lot of the conservative Americans perceived it as a threat to American sovereignty and as a constant threat trying to undermine it. There has always been a perceived outside threat in that country, and it has always existed, and I think it is a very driving factor into one of the reasons why your country has held on to a right to bear arms for defense and asserting of civil liberties for so long, as well as the obvious overthrow bad government stuff. But,
yeah, but when the government can drone you, I don't think that 9mm Glock is going to protect you from the drone.
Well, and one thing is that they continue to say that they need their guns to protect us from tyranny of the government. But the government has already taken so many of our rights already without even having to fire a shot. The government isn't going to take over with force of arms. That's ridiculous. They're going to take over for other means. And they have, by some of the laws that they're allowed to write, like the Patriot Act.
Well, that's exactly it. And then it's like what we were talking about last night with the Freedom Act. They just renamed it, and it was so watered down that it wasn't anything good, really. And we talked about this a little bit last night, and I'm glad we got to, because even though I still feel dirty over it, I got to probably for the first and only time defend Rand Paul, which was just really awkward. But want to move on? I think we've made our points on this one.
Yeah, right? We kind of got off topic there.
Yeah, we got a little off topic.
That's fine.
Yeah, and I don't think I said the F word yet, which is probably a good thing. See, I can manage. Let's see, no F-bomb yet. Jay Leno cancels a gig at a pro-gun event after pressure from the gun control activists. And of course, The Blaze has this update. Leno reportedly received money for the gig in August. So, they're going to point out that he's already gotten paid for it. So he got to cancel and got paid for nothing. Well, how many times have Ted Nugent and stuff like that happened, and they haven't been that butthurt over that. Anyway, contrary to Leno's spokesperson Bruce Bobbin's statement that no money was involved in Leno's appearance and that he would return the cash if there were the case, 50% deposit from the National Shooting Sports Foundation of $82,500 was reportedly sent to Leno in August, now for his canceled hosting gig, according to a documentation cited by Town Hall, and NSSF told Town Hall that every press release, blog ad, email blast, and all website materials that mentioned Leno or used Leno's likeness was pre-approved by his team. Basically, comedian Jay Leno canceled a gig for a Newtown, Connecticut pro-gun group after the gun control activists criticized the former Tonight Show host for taking the job. I don't have a problem with them. Newtown, there are a lot of people who denied that Newtown even happened, which I just want to throw up at the whole concept of that. But this group to do this, and those feelings are still raw in that town. I actually was born and raised very close to Newtown, so I know how raw those feelings are. And I would have thought that Jay Leno would have had some common sense and common decency, and not just, oh, here's a check, let me go do this. You know, that's the problem I had, and I'm really glad that these activists, got up and did something about him getting this check. And quite frankly, I hope he keeps the money too, just to satisfy. Nick, thoughts on this with this particular story?
I'm mixed on this one. I like the idea that Leno was kind of embarrassed to do it by media and by social activism. On the other hand, I'm not sure how much targeting, or I shouldn't say targeting, focusing specifically on Leno will really change anything at all. Maybe it does. Maybe it does because he's a very public figure. So maybe that does. But I feel like their time and effort should be better spent actually trying to get legislation through and winning the hearts and minds of the people rather than shaming a comedian.
Well, I'm going to give you a pushback with that. Moms Demand Action tried doing that for New Jersey, and to the point where they tried getting Christie to comment several times on it, even at events while he was campaigning for the Republican candidate in Connecticut, and he refused to even comment to Newtown activists who lost children due to Newtown, and who tried to help persevere to get stricter laws in neighboring states. Because, like gun activists point out, well, I can go to, what's to stop a criminal from going crossing the border and bringing guns in, you know, from where states that have lesser laws. So, like, because they always point out at Chicago being this liberal bastion of gun laws and gun control laws, but yet there's so much gun crime there. Well, in Indiana and other states surrounding Chicago, it's so much easier to get a gun. Of course you can bring it in. I mean, hello, Captain Obvious. Anybody who wants to commit a crime is going to figure out a way to do it to make it easier to facilitate that crime. I mean, you could find a line to that easier than you could to Benghazi in most cases. So I guess my question is, can't they do two things? I mean, can't they kind of? I know we talked before the show. Talked a little bit about shaming and with candidates about the radio host shaming them if we got money out of politics, trying to do that to keep them from voting the way their conscience was. But isn't this sometimes a good thing? Isn't this sometimes warranted?
Sometimes it is. Yeah, I'm not against the idea. I just. And if they've tried the other method and it just doesn't have the same effect, that makes sense for them to try this way. That's if it produces results, then my on the fenceness is going to change too firmly in favor of convincing Lino to change his mind anyway. So I'm not against the idea. I just was skeptical if it would have results. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It also comes to like what you were saying before. If money was out of politics, perhaps they would feel more conscious to pass laws when Mom's Demand Action came in. Because let's be honest, if Christie wants to mount a Christian mount in the same sentence, mount a 2016 campaign, right, and think he's going to get any traction, he has to appease to the gun lobby. He can't sign a bill that's going to be gun control, and that would be tantamount to like Romney doing Romney Care in Massachusetts, you know, and that would sink his what I think are already sunk chances of running for president. So I guess they did try at least. And I guess they're like with almost to the discussion we had last night, about millennials. They're trying it all facets as opposed to like just one where voting comes in. But if we had stronger candidates, maybe we, you know. But yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. That's a whole nother discussion, isn't it? But any other thoughts on that, Nick, or do we want to move on?
No, it seems pretty good for me.
Okay. See, good? Okay. I've actually been really interested in this particular story that we're doing next because Denton is a little Texas town that did an amazing vote for fracking, to get fracking out, right? They are basically said no to fracking to the point where I made my show do homework one day for it because 700 Club actually did a halfway decent piece about fracking and how they're going to do this vote, and oh my God, they're going to do this vote against fracking maybe, and how would it be harmful, and they did actually a very good piece. Well, apparently that whole vote doesn't matter in Texas because what they're doing is still issuing these permits. All right? Texas Republicans worked to squash local fracking ban. The chair of the Texas Railroad Commission, Christy Craddock, stated that she would not abide by the ban at an event held by the Texas Tribune on November 6th. It's my job to give permits, not Denton's. we're going to continue permitting up there because that's my job. So she's just, you know, Republicans are so pro-states' rights, right? But cities, not so much. I'm just going to pass out the permits like Bez, you know, or Oprah with cars, apparently. I just, I find it funny when they do things like this on the right and nobody really calls them out on it, and they get away with it. And it's like almost an acceptable thing because it's Texas, you know? Nobody's going to fight it in Texas. Wendy Davis, yeah, not so much. So, Nick, from an outside perspective, especially with Keystone XL, what's your perspective on how they're dealing? What should Denton do? How do you think they should force her to stop passing these out for the town because they voted?
Well, for starters, I would say that I think one of the reasons people don't pay too much attention to the municipal element of things is because at that level, I find partisan politics really kind of dissolves a fair bit. It's a lot more based on individuals. I found at least here in Canada, I found that to be the case. Maybe it is different now. I've no doubt a lot of city officials and people have party membership, but I just don't think they campaign as part of that party. I think they just campaign as individuals.
Oh no,
that's my thought,
don't.
And so maybe that's because of that. There's less focus on it because it's a little more muddied. But as for what they should do, well, they've tried voting. That didn't work. So to put it bluntly, civil disobedience is really what the next option. That's their rights as citizens to do so. They voted. It was ignored. They have every right to now protest.
Isn't it sad that democracy, in this case, has been ignored, and for the interests of large corporations?
Well, not only that,
that's indicative of where our government is now at. That's indicative of where we're at now as a country.
Well, let's move this to a broader sense, right? The Republicans right now are screaming about Obama's amnesty thing. This woman, to put it in context, is almost acting like Obama. She is ignoring the will of Denton. Denton said, "We don't want this. We think it's harming our children. Don't do it." And she is just, "Oh, no, I pass these out. This is what I'm told to do. I'm going to do it." Shouldn't realistically, if we lived in a sane world, shouldn't every card-carrying conservative want her head because she is acting as if she were like Obama? Like a queen?
Well, maybe to an extent. I stand by my point, though. I still think that civil disobedience is the next choice. Logical.
Okay,
the next logical step.
Then how would you do that?
Right.
How would you do that? Would you go to the state house? Would you where would you carry the civil disobedience?
Everywhere. State house. That doesn't work. Carry it to the field where they're about to start fracking.
Well,
Bring cameras. Lots of cameras.
And set up social media. I mean, yes. Twitter is just it's actually an amazing tool for activism, and that's what gets...
Really, Jeff? I didn't know.
Yeah. In case you didn't know, in case you guys didn't get the memo, it's a great tool for activism. You should probably use it, and get the media. I mean, that's the only way you're going to catch the attention of big media. And once this is in the spotlight, you're going to have a ton of pieces about it, and you're going to embarrass the crap out of this. What is it, the mayor?
No, she is the Texas Railroad Commission.
You're going to embarrass the crap out of her, and you're going to get it to. Oh, okay, she's going to backpedal once she gets enough pressure.
They should also be mailing her boss. You'd be extremely surprised how impactful receiving thousands of angry letters can be to someone, especially when they're all different, when they're all individual. That people listen when there's a lot of angry people, and when they've seen word like that. They need to get in contact with anyone to listen. They also need to be aware that when they go down this road, there will be negative press, a lot of it. People portraying them badly as activists or people against progress or something like that. I'm sure it'll happen. They need to not buckle under that. But civil disobedience is the next choice.
Nick, I think you're being way too kind for this Texas town. This is Texas we're talking about. If Florida was unavailable to give as a sanction to Putin, I'd give them Texas. So I hear you.
Texas has a very strong individualist and libertarian streak as well. And if the will of the people is not being heard there, that does strike a chord with a lot of libertarians. Especially, to be frank, because this is a town that is likely full of predominantly white Caucasian individuals.
Oh yeah,
which does get a lot more publicity from conservatives and really all walks of people. So I think they would definitely have a chance, actually.
No, and to be fair, she has ties with Alec, so I don't think she'll listen at all to any petition.
She doesn't have to listen. The objective isn't to get her to listen. The objective is to bring the powers that be, to make someone listen, not her, anybody.
Do you? Okay, we can say that fairly say that Greg Abbott won fairly handedly over Wendy Davis. Do you think if the people of the town of Denton started a letter campaign to Greg Abbott, he'd bother with it? Because let's be honest, who do you think his paymasters are? I mean, perhaps if money was out of politics, but it's not.
Paymasters is one thing, but if you're at risk of losing a substantial portion of your supporters or your base, that is different. That does turn heads regardless of money. These people are elected to, even when they're given money, they're elected to play smart. They're not elected to be blithering idiots. They're expected to at least be under the pretenses of democracy. So if they start doing things that are quite clearly not in the interests of the people, and the people have made it quite clear what those interests are, then it does strike a chord with a lot of people. It's something that can't be ignored, especially if it's loud enough.
I still think I think there's going to be a lot of apathy, and I think it's going to go, I think it's going to go ignored because it's Texas. I'm sorry.
There will be a lot of apathy, but that's why you have to engage in the tactics that I mentioned, because that's how you break through. Okay, that's just my thought. That's just my thought of how they could do it if they want to do it. That would be how I would do it.
But let's be honest. This isn't like they probably feel it's not going to get. They did their vote. They think they had the democracy. Now they're really, okay, we can't do anything. Short of somebody filing a lawsuit, maybe to the state or something, which is another route that I would think that perhaps maybe the mayor or somebody might be able to sue the state to stop. Would that possibly?
I disagree. I disagree. Well, actually, I'm going to have to ask you to clarify one thing. You said they had their vote, and then they realized that they don't really have democracy. You then said something like, "Oh, well," was that supposed to be the apathy part, where they would be apathetic?
I think that's they're going to just roll over, because I don't. There are enough people in the town where they're just going to be like, no, just deal with it, because this is, if you go to the 700 Club, who did more in depth than this, and I don't believe I'm recommending them as a source. But the world has been turned upside down in the past few months, so I'm not surprised by this. But here's why I find that a little bit interesting.
these past 3 months, I've had my worldview shaken substantially. I've seen a lot of people really surprise me in the lengths they're willing to go to actually get action and have their voices heard. I've seen about a dozen advertisers pull out of an online media company because a lot of people wrote letters saying that we don't like this company. They don't represent. I don't think they're a good image, and you shouldn't support them. And it worked. People pulled out. I've seen a lot of people go to surprising lengths and with a fair amount of conviction for things that I never would have thought possible 3 months before. I think you'd be very surprised how resilient and enduring people can be when they want to be. And I think this is a situation where they would want to be resilient, and they will be. So that is why I'm advocating civil disobedience, and why I think that.
Fair enough, but I think I will quote Jeff about me. My glass is half full of piss.
You can always be the cynic. That's fine. That makes sense. But
I just being on the left and coming from a conservative background, very conservative, self-hating gay. That's how conservative. I really got to say that I worry about it and how they're gonna be heard, if they are at all, because obviously this chair doesn't give a damn about the rights of the citizens who decided that this is something that they want to stop in their town. She just doesn't give a damn, and that.
But but people like that can be made to give a damn when other people who are more receptive to changing social environments, because that's where their market and a lot of power comes from. When those people start thinking that their bottom lines or their image is going to take a very negative hit, they will bring those people to bear.
I gotta be honest. In all honesty, I think the only way, and I don't even know if this is possible, so that's why I'm only half-heartedly throwing this out, is if the mayor or city manager or whichever they have, because they all have different things, or the council sues either the commission or Abbott, the governor-elect, or Abbott and Rick Perry, to bring national attention to this. Because let's not forget, Rick Perry, even though he's still under indictment, are going to face that nonsense with, well, I don't want to call it nonsense, but some people say it's nonsense, some people say it's not. So that possible nonsense. He's not going to want an added lawsuit to it. And I think if it's possible for the city to bring a lawsuit for their votes that have been ignored, I think that's the only way you're going to see Abbott and Perry be forced into saying stop doing this. And I don't know, because I don't know, and this is my own fault because I didn't do further research into it, but I don't know the makeup of the town, and I don't know if they've already been bought off, quite honestly. If they're Republicans, there's a possibility.
We'll see. Money has a way of making people talk, it's true, but we'll see. That's my course of action, though. If I were to make one, it would be civil disobedience.
Fair enough. Well, I was hoping we'd find some point of disagreement on today's show, and here we found it. I think on that, should we move on to the next one? Yep. Okay. Alrighty then. Just bear with me. Oh, this is another fun one. We all know who Elizabeth Warren is, right? She got that new leadership post. Well, she almost didn't get it, according to Talking Points memo. Schumer pushed for a moderate senator to offset Warren's leadership role. That's right. When Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid was in talks with Senator Elizabeth Warren to create a new leadership position for her, Senator Chuck Schumer, the number 3 Democratic member in the chamber, had and head, of the Democratic Policy and Communications Center suggested that Reid also bring in Senator Mark Warner to balance out Warren's liberal policy. So let me clarify. I said push her out, balance her out, which would basically water her down. So essentially the same thing, but let me adjust that. In my view, it would be the same thing. Warner, of course, is considered one of the more moderate Democrats in the Senate caucus. Schumer also suggested possibly narrowing the scope of the new post Warren was going to get. According to Political, Warren resisted both suggestions. Nick, is this... we all know that Schumer is possible, I believe, next in line to replace Harry Reid, if I get it right there. And where does this go? Is this more stifling of Elizabeth Warren because she's so strong and really attacks the powers that be and scares the crap out of the banks, in even questioning people who Obama put in office? Where is that why they don't want this?
I think there's some who are worried. On the other hand, I think there's a lot of idiots. I think a lot of people don't really understand what the people want, and so they look to media to try and figure out what that is. And from what I saw from the media following this, it was a lot of talking heads saying, "Oh, this is why progressive policies don't work," and "Oh, we can't be progressive. It doesn't work. The people don't want that." Which we know is false. We know it's false. The people were pissed off because there weren't progressives in the last election. But I think that it's those talking heads on TV that have actually had the biggest impact on some of these people, and why they would have pushed for Warner instead of Warren, or to balance out Warren, because they honestly believe that a progressive leader would
make it worse,
cause them to lose more. Yeah, basically. That's my main thought for most of them. And then there's the ones who think she's too radical. Can't do that, and shaking things up too much. But I think most just don't get it.
Are you in my opinion of that with Elizabeth Warren anyway, that if you'd rather her not run because of this and rather her stay in the Senate because she makes a much better scary senator than she ever would a president? Like, I would love to see her end up taking Harry Reid's job and be a minority leader if we're stuck in the minority. I would love to see her push and prove that liberal causes work, as opposed to running for president even in 2020 or say if we got a Republican and then she ran it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What camp are you in with Elizabeth Warren?
That's a tough one. I would like to see her run for higher office, but I also don't feel that it would work well until there's a 28th Amendment passed, basically. I think that's where I will sit on, because my biggest concern is it would basically be an Obama 2.0, where she would start off very progressive in the House, and then by the time she's running for the office of president, she's moderate and willing to play ball. That would be my fear, that it would basically just break her.
No, my fear, if I can kind of.
Oh, please, Jeff.
Be quiet, disembodied voice.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, who's that?
Yeah, not happening. Okay. Anyway, my fear with Warren is that, and it's the same sort of issue that we might see from a Bernie Sanders attempt, is how they could, without taking corporate money, and I'm not saying that they would, but how would they sort of get past that wall of money and raise enough to be able to not only get the nomination but be able to get the American people on their side through messaging, to get their message out essentially. And that's sort of the problem. Like, how do you get the money to run?
I don't think
in the current system.
I don't even think that's the problem, Jeff. Actually, I think it was either here or on my show that somebody brought up the question with Warren and Bernie Sanders. They're more apathetic to somebody with the hope and change line instead of this is what we're going to do, this is how I'm going to do it. And that's why I prefer Sanders over Warren, is because he's very strong, more so than her, on specifics. I know where he wants to go with building infrastructure. I know where he wants to go with dealing with military intervention. I know that he will not be swayed. Why do I know this? Because he's had these views since being mayor, and
you know this. You know this. What about the average American that doesn't follow politics? That's the thing. Like, how does he get out his message to people who don't follow politics up until the day it is to vote?
Whistle stop tour. Go everywhere. Quite honestly, do local media. He's really good on the national scale, and he does something that is not talked about enough. He does brunch with Bernie. He's been doing that since I think he was mayor of the town, because Tom Hartman lived in that town. And he does that every Friday. He takes any question, practically unscreened, and will answer. And stuff like that. Just sit there until every question is asked, invite the media, and get the message. You do not. What needs to happen is that a politician like Sanders, or maybe someone younger, needs to come along and say, I don't need you big corporate media. I'm just going to see everybody. And I need small donors. And I think that can work because people will see a real person. And if we have that, people will flock to that because that's what people want, and that will end apathy.
Well, Sanders now would have the Colbert bump. He was on Stephen Colbert's show talking about the issue of looking into a presidential run and asking that same question. How do I evaluate if there's if there's really a desire by the American people for a presidential run, and how do I get past that money wall? And I think those are valid concerns to think about.
No, yeah, obviously. And obviously we have a huge country, right? So here, this is what I would tell Senator Sanders. Open an office in Chicago, open an office in New York, open an office in Texas, and one in California. Split your time. And be willing to sit down and let anybody in the media come in. And do that. Just sit. Town halls. Anybody can. Don't be like Bush, where, you screen it. Just sit and talk. And he's very capable of doing that, and he stays on message because he believes his message. And that's what people need. That's why people flock to Rand Paul, because people, like him or not, believe his message. That's why people are willing to flock to Ted Cruz, because even though I think he's BS, people flock to the message that they think is true. And that's what is the most desirable thing in American politics right now and can win an election. Nick, what do you think?
Yes, but it's also charisma. Charisma has always been a driving factor for why people like certain individuals. It's why people really like Ted Cruz, even though he's batshit insane. He gets out and he speaks with conviction because, frankly, I think he's more of an actor than he is an actual politician. But with that said, The problem with whistle-stop tours is that I feel like getting the same questions repeatedly would really wear Sanders out, to the point where he loses that charisma by the end. At least insofar as interacting with the people, and I think that would be immensely problematic. The reason a lot of these people can be so energetic and passionate about their views when talking on major media is because it's not the 50th stop they've had to say the same thing over and over and over again. So I really do think that it's a good idea because it does connect with people, but it's got to be done in a way that doesn't lose the energy that draws people in, because that is a big factor.
Well, and not only that, I mean, he doesn't need to go everywhere. He can go to different markets where, you know, I wish he would actually do more conservative shows. I wish Sean Hannity would have him on, but he would never have him on, and then here's why. Because Bernie would pummel him the same way he pummeled Michelle Bachmann. If you've seen that famous debate where he just nicely just took out the bat and was like, here's your idea, bam. It was like watching brilliance at work against, well, I mean, it's Michelle Bachmann, so look who we're talking about. But it was really nice to see somebody, and amazingly enough, it was the network that does the Less with Less, CNN, who put that together. So I think you're right that it could burn him out, but it could give him new energy if he saw people coming to see him, because he knew that people wanted that the meme of the center right is wrong, and that needs to be a bumper sticker. Center right is wrong, because it is. We're not center right. We never have been. They just want that to push their crappy non-net neutrality, corporatocracy bullshit. And if more people would call it as it is, we'd be more progressive. I'm sorry, we need a Frank Lutz to, talking point rigged shit so we can explain it. Dare I say, we need a Dr. Gruber.
I can't disagree with the fact that we do need better messaging on the left, and we tend to think that our policies speak for themselves when really they don't.
You have lots of messaging on the left. I've seen it. I've spent the last 3 months seeing it. To my great disappointment, it's terrible. It needs to be better. That's the problem. The right has a lot of the old media. The left has a lot of the newer media. Both are terrible in their own way, but the right, at least the old media on the right, buys into and endorses the views of most of its politicians, at least for what they campaign on. The media on the left, a lot less so, and there's a lot more confusion. It needs to be better. And this kind of goes back to something I've realized a lot too as of late, is there is a desperate need for a newer form of media, a different type, one that doesn't have either of the problems of the old or the newer media, because neither of these forms at the moment is sustainable. It's horrendous. It's only going to lead to a crash, and this has to happen. This has got to happen.
Well, now we're
has to
getting
coincide with a lot of the other stuff.
Well, we're pretty much getting into the topic of clickbait media at this point. And
yeah.
That's
exactly what I was referring to the media on the left as being.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is, and it's horrendous.
And I get a lot of crap for it on my show, but I use a lot of right-wing media for the clear point that I get more out of it as stories and interesting news for my audience as opposed to the left clickbait stuff. Mm-hmm. It drives me nuts. and we could have a better discussion, because I found that Lino story off of the Blaze, you know, and that's a story that needs to be told in the left side cycle, but a lot of
but it doesn't fit a narrative.
But well, you can make it fit a narrative. If you're a smart liberal, you should be able to make it fit your narrative. And if you can't, you have no business being a liberal. I'm sorry, go be a conservative.
I would say the bigger effort should be made. There should be a bigger drive away from narrative and more on fact. But this is kind of the point, and what I was getting at was neither media format will cover things that don't fit their constructed narrative. And then somewhere in the middle, although definitely more leaning left, is fact, and that is a problem. It is a problem when neither side really is willing to engage with the facts.
I gotta push back with you on that. I gotta push back on that, on the conservative angle. Being a former conservative, this is why I'm actually thrilled that I am, or was rather. Wow, I don't believe I just said that. Defending too much of Rand Paul, ew. But the conservatives do have facts that fit their meme, and that's the thing that liberals have to understand is they think like Ronald Reagan did, right? They think in pictures. You get a little picture here, you put it in a nice little box, it's black and white. Ooh, yeah, net neutrality, like Obamacare. I understand that because I don't like Obamacare. That's their fact. That's all they need. And then they run with it. They run badly into a wall with it, but they got their meme of what they want to transpire. And that's really what we need to do to a degree without being clickbaity and get our messaging across properly. Because like we said the other day, if we say universal health care, people like that. But if you say national health service, yeah, government-run health service, people don't like that. You know? If you say Medicare for all, I'd almost say people might like that, you know, because when they talk to their grandma likes Medicare and Medicaid for the most part. So, I might get what grandma gets. That that might be able to work, but it has to be messaged in the right direction. Benghazi works so well because, scary bad. That's what Republicans think when you bring up Benghazi. Scary bad. Conservatives, scary bad. And then images of 9/11 start flooding in. And then Obama bad.
Okay, so
yeah, see what I'm saying?
All right, so let's get back to the topic of
sure. Well,
Elizabeth Warren.
Well,
no, let's not. Yeah, no, let's. We were just getting onto the topic of messaging and stuff, and it dovetailed well because it allowed us to talk on how the platforms of messaging are problematic. So.
Because, like, in fact, this goes. We'll move from Elizabeth Warren in a second because I think we agree that if Warren had somebody else, a moderate, would totally have watered down her message and made it worse for her. And that was the whole thing because of, like you said, center right and all that moderate country crap. And it was a bunch of white voters that went in and voted, and everybody else stayed home. And I'm still want to know from Alex Jones, Alex, if you're watching, where are all those illegal aliens that you told me would show up and vote for the Democratic Party? Where are they for Wendy Davis? Because they didn't fucking show. Were you hiding them in your bunker? Because I'm kind of pissed at them. Because you promised me that we would get this swell of Democratic voters because Obama was going to do amnesty. Well, he's done it, according to you. Where's my payoff? So, shall we move on that note?
Yes. It's a good point to move on.
Yes, okay, let's move on. Speaking of messaging, dumb tweets of the day. This will be the fun story. Republicans respond to Obama's immigration announcement. Let's start with Speaker Boehner, dickhead. This is not how American democracy works. We're talking messaging. They got that message out. Immigration amnesty. And again, it's not amnesty, but this is how they create the message. Michelle Bachmann, or as I like to call her, Bondage Bachmann. President Obama's executive amnesty flouts the Constitution, disregards the election results, which meant nothing, and defies the will of the American people. They must have gotten the same vax blast. Steve Stockman, he's always a fun one. This is Obama's immigration scheme combined his IRS lawlessness with his Obamacare failure and his Gruber deception. So, see, even Steve Stockman can figure out how to scare every conservative out there. These aren't done, and it's kind of disingenuous to point these out as dumb that the left does. These aren't dumb tweets. These are brilliant tweets. They're showing us how we should be messaging better, smarter. We don't need to do this deceptive crap, which I think is completely ironic. But back kind of on the same topic, what do you think, now that we've seen some examples? I'm not going to read them all. There are about 10 of them. Let's do one more. Rick Perry, because he's always on. I'm stepping up border security for Texas. Sign up to show your support. Now, nowhere in this whole thing were new people coming over able to get. See, they got me doing it. It's not amnesty. But they've already got me doing it, calling it what it's not. So, Nick, your thoughts on the dumb, not dumb tweets?
Some of them are pretty dumb. Louis Gohmert is fabulous for being moronic in that tweet. But I will say Laura Ingram's tweet is kind of funny. To show maximum compassion, Obama should extend amnesty to the White House fence jumpers. That kind of made me chuckle a little bit. That was kind of clever.
Yes.
But other than that, they're clever buzzwords. Yeah. They're always clever buzzwords here, but
Frank was tested and approved.
Yes. It's sad to say that we're in a state of media and debate now where we have to advocate that actually one side start using more buzzwords. That actually really makes me very sad to think about. But there's no denying that they do need to do better messaging.
But see, here's
these people are willing. Here's the thing: these people are willing to actually look stupid and to flat out lie on their freaking Twitter feeds and be called out for it. But they still do it time and time again, and that strikes a chord with people to a degree, where they don't care about beating around the bush on stuff, buzzwords, but blunt and forward and very direct. And that's interesting. And maybe that's where the left can learn more. They need to stop being full of bullshit and start being blunt and upfront.
And well, that's exactly it. And that's what I'm not advocating for the left to be as ridiculous as some of these tweets like Louis Gohmert's. Obama issued an oral royal decree that will be followed by a written regal decree, as any good monarch would do. I'm not suggesting that you go tweet that out about Jeb Bush if, God forbid, he becomes president in 2016. You know, I'm not. But What I am suggesting is, like you said, we need to get smarter with it. We need to paint pictures better, and we need to make it for, I'm sorry, Gruber yet again nailed it, the low information voter that even Jeff called out on, who doesn't know Bernie Sanders and what he stands for. We need to be able to reach these people with good messaging, consistent messaging, because if you notice all these tweets, they're all very consistent. They're all very concise. And I don't know. I joked that maybe it was a fax blast. Maybe Rush Limbaugh's fax is still churning out that Limbaugh letter to all the conservatives on what the hell to say, because that's all he can do with his hand now, since, you know, no pills to snort. Oh, did I go there? Yes, I did. I denounce and reject myself. But
good.
Tearful apology coming never.
What is this, MSNBC?
No, it's not. God damn it.
Just make sure you're not wearing bad shirts, Tom. Okay.
Oh, well, I don't know. My ex got me this. Is this a bad shirt? I think it makes me look fat, but well.
Not what I meant by bad shirts and tearful apologies, but okay.
Okay, fair enough. All right. But back to the messaging thing. They're all very singular. They're all very concise, and it goes to what you said. We need to be smarter, and I think if we're smarter, consistent, and not wishy-washy, for Christ's sake, we'll win elections. I mean, whether it be a Democratic candidate or a Green candidate, we'll win elections.
Yes.
And I, as a former conservative, like Jeff called my show, and me and Nikki and Jeff did this thing about, could I be conservative again? Now, if I did, I'd be living in my shed if I did, but I think I could do it. I could go back to being self-hating and get the monologue down, Obamacare bad, evil, you know, neutrality gonna be like Obama, because then I'd be making some money. But we want to help people, and we need to be more concise and clear. And I think I blew it in trying to do my explanation, but okay.
Not really just concise and clear, but strong.
Yes.
The problem with Democrats is that they're weak. They're losers, and no one wants to back a loser. Why do you think the Democratic Party is now at one of the most unfavorable points now in recent history? Because they keep losing. Because they are not standing by their principles. People like people who stick to their guns, like, you know, Rand Paul or Ted Cruz. They stick to their bullshit. But we, as liberals, we should be able to stick to the facts and to stand strong instead of waffle on things like climate change or, you know, the Keystone XL with Mary Landrieu, who, by the way, lost.
Yeah, by the way, Nick, I couldn't get Dan to do this, and I didn't really try hard enough, so I'll try with you. Can you apologize for the whole Keystone thing? Can I get one fucking Canadian to do that for me, please? There, I finally said fuck. Can I get one fucking Canadian to apologize for the whole Keystone thing? Because you brought this on us.
We didn't want it either, man. We're not apologizing for crap. We didn't want it either. Don't give me this. No, I'm not enough of this.
Well, you know what will happen, right? If they vote yes, which they very well may do with the as I get Sarah Palin tongue-tied here, as they very well may do in the 2016 Jesus, get the fuck out of my head. 2015 Senate, Benghazi Mitch's Senate. They very well may go to war over this, because the Sioux has said that they declare war if it's voted yes, and I don't think that ends just because of this no vote, right? So we'll invade you. You have the oil. We won't do anything about the Sioux, so we're coming for you. So get whoever it is to cut this out so you can avoid a war. Because I'm going to use
You
George
won't
Bush
invade
all the
us. You won't invade us, because then you'd start trying to annex us, and you'd go, oh, wait a minute. There are 35 million people who are more left-leaning than even our Democrats. That would really change the balance of power in the country. Let's not do that. Never mind. Just kidding, Canada.
Well, that may be true. No. not in my Alex Jones conspiracy theory. No. But do we have anything else to say on the dumb tweets or smart tweets or however we're classifying these tweets?
It's really hard to not be concise in 140 characters. Mm-hmm.
But it is really easy to be slightly dumb in them.
Well, you could also be really, really dumb in tweets as well. So, I mean, props to their, and it's probably not them tweeting, it's their staff, let's be honest.
Or one intern that they rotate around like an STD.
And that's possible. They might be just that cheap.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly. I could see them being that cheap. And it's probably an ALEC intern, too. Even worse.
No, he's probably unpaid.
Yeah, I'm going all Alex Jones on this show tonight. I mean, it's like
it's probably an unpaid intern. I hear there's a lot of those on every side.
Yes.
What? Sorry?
Yep, in probably college kid or something like that. I'm just trying to get enough experience to get a job.
I will say this. At least none of those tweets said something stupid and moronic like bring back bullying.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Anyway, let's
move on. Can we move on to Alex Jones? I want to move on to Alex Jones. I've mentioned him enough times.
I promised myself I wouldn't put myself through this torture again. Alright, carry on.
Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead.
Oh, you want to throw to the video right now?
No, Tom's doing it. I'm just gonna suffer.
Yeah, throw to it.
Okay, I figured you were going to give us a little bit of an intro.
Oh, no, because Alex Jones needs no intro. He'll just talk shit, we'll giggle.
And here, ladies and gentlemen, will be a somewhat overweight-looking individual yelling and getting pissed off and making up conspiracy theories about nothing again. Enjoy, for your viewing pleasure.
God forbid, the last thing we would ever want would be for Obama to get assassinated, because then he could be turned into a martyr, and then they could lionize all the horrible things they've done in his name, and then say that you want to kill somebody if you're against Obamacare or against turning your guns in. In fact, I've been saying this for 6 years. The real false flag could be an assassination of Obama, or it could be an attempted assassination. But don't think that even though he's their Harvard minion and their golden, idol, don't think that the globalists wouldn't be above assassinating him to create a martyred deity out of him.
I've been saying it for 6 years, which is why it's the first time I'm saying it today.
Yeah, that's why the only time that we have a right-wing watch clip of him saying it. I'm just going to go there. Thanks, Nick. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I love while he was having that clip, too, that he had his frickin' website up on the majority of the screen. Is he still selling the water filters there? Is that still his gig? Now? Okay.
Oh, and it's the water filters. It's this colonic thing that he takes almost daily. It just gets better and better.
Enormous degrees of charlatan.
Yeah, he puts Dr. Oz to shame. He really does. And
that's not hard these days. So
if he didn't have people like the people who killed the cops out in Vegas following him, I just laugh about it. But on a recent show, and I put this up on my Liberals channel, shameless plug, with Alex Jones, he called for a confrontation of Dr. Gruber, right? So he wants his minions, ironically enough, to go confront Dr. Gruber at school. Now, these are open carry whiny bitches who will, I'm sure, be more than happy to show their rage, alleged rage, at him.
No, they're going to have a nice. They're going to have a nice, nuanced, calm conversation about, over tea or something.
Oh, it's going to be nuance, Stephen. So one of those. The minute you bring up nuance, we have to go there, don't we?
We do.
Yes, it'll be a nuanced conversation with no screaming, and no security will be called.
Well, of course, because the tea will be made from the water used by those Alex Jones water filters. Buy yours today.
Filtering out that pesky fluoride.
This really scares me. I actually asked Norman Goldman, who's a former attorney and he's a liberal host, on Twitter when I saw this thing, and this goes into this. If he's advocating this, can he be held at fault? Because he's the one, saying confront him. Can the family, if something, God forbid, happens to Dr. Gruber, can he be held at fault? Obviously not because of Obama, because he wasn't advocating for that. But with Gruber, when he's telling his followers to, go confront this guy, where does this stop with him? Because this was like Bill O'Reilly calling out Dr. Tiller. This is, again, messaging from, we keep going back to messaging tonight, it seems to be a having theme, of the right-wing echo chamber, and this is why they win, because they scare the crap out of you with this. And here he is, now if he dies, if Obama dies, now he's going to be like a god. He really will be a god. He'll be, I guess this is also a way, Kim Jong-un is a god, right? In North Korea. Just like communism and socialism, it drives me nuts. Nick, can you walk me down? Help me out.
Yes, Alex Jones can definitely should be held accountable for a lot of his lunacy. We're not talking physical attacks or anything, but I firmly believe that all media should be held accountable for some of the things they produce and some of the effects that can have, especially if they're saying things like confront them, do this, do that. It's not necessarily violence that they mean, but any negative impacts that might happen, like say if they start harassing somebody, just calling them and sending them threatening things, anything like that. Yeah, I think the media should be held accountable to some degree. It's not, obviously, first and foremost, is the responsibility of the individual who is carrying out those actions, but media has a role, and I don't think that can be denied, and it needs to be acknowledged and pushed back sometimes.
Alex Jones' type of media is him essentially throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yes.
And it's amazing how surprisingly popular he seems to be for doing that. I mean, he starts off with maybe one or two good points, something that is grounded in reality, and he goes off the rails from there. It's just amazing to me how he has, such a large following, at least a seemingly large following. We don't really know how many people actually take him seriously, but I think one is too many.
Yeah, and that's it. Well, I go back to the Las Vegas thing. We have seen this where he had Cliven Bundy on, then Hannity got him, then Beck got him, and it starts, it's funny because Glenn Beck and Alex Jones have this ongoing feud. Glenn Beck will not say Alex Jones's name on the radio because he doesn't want to give him credit for anything. Though if you bring up like Glenn Beck to Alex Jones, he's stealing my stuff. He's been stealing, and in a lot of ways he does. but he does it, and God, I feel like I'm defending Rand Paul again. Beck does it more rationally. Like, he keeps the rational element of what Alex Jones says and doesn't bring it to the Bilderbergs, you know, and doesn't bring it to those people who are in the sky controlling it, and so he keeps it rational. And me saying that about Glenn Beck, I have not had a drop to drink. I swear to God, I am totally sober saying this. But
it's Glenn Beck wearing a Tom Reynolds costume. Everyone run!
Yes. Yeah. No. But possibly avert your eyes, even still. I just it's Alex Jones. Anybody else want to say anything about poor Alex, who we've mercilessly beat up a little bit?
I think he'll recover.
Yeah.
He's got, he does have money now.
I still go back
he'll just sell some more water filters. He'll be fine.
Water filters. Get the colonic. Get the colonic, because he says that he
clean your shit out with Alex Jones colonics.
Because he says he mixes all three and it tastes really great, and I'm not sure I believe him, because sometimes he forgets to do it.
Yeah, because he's full of shit, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, and he needs to stay full of shit to get through that 3-hour show by himself. Just saying.
Yes.
Let's see. Should we move on?
I think so.
Okay. We beat that horse. Okay. Let's go to the sign, shall we? Ironically enough, I don't. Jeff, you don't have this to bring up, do you? No, you don't.
What's that?
The AIDS, Ebola, Obama, thanks, Africa sign.
No, you didn't. You didn't tell me that.
I'm sorry. I didn't even think to do it until now. My fault. Spank me, please. Someone.
I'll pass.
Spank.
I'll pass.
How many times do I have to say queef for you? Sorry, never mind.
See, this is Tom's used to radio where you don't have fancy.
Yes, this is too fancy for me. AIDS, Ebola, Obama. Thanks, Africa. Roadside sign causes a stir in Nebraska. Again, at least it's not Florida. So Florida, nice going. You got saved on that one. A homemade sign proclaiming AIDS, Ebola, Obama, thanks Africa, caused a commotion in the town of Minden, Nebraska. The week after a local man drew the ire of area residents when he erected it on his own property. The roadside sign was first spotted in the town of barely 3,000 on Monday this week, and it quickly created a stir on the internet as it was shared on the web first by Nebraskans, then soon the rest of the world. This is from RT2, by the way. I wish it would go away, but it hit the social media. Minden Mayor-elect Ted Grease told nearby Lincoln's Nebraska's Journal Star newspaper. I can read, I swear to God. It was being transferred all the way across. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ. It was being transferred all the way across this nation from one Facebook account to the next, he added, to an area NBC affiliate. Now, this is the best part of what he says, by the way. There was a lot of reflection once people actually noticed it. There were several people, like car after car, that came by doing laps around to look at it and take pictures. Minden Mayor Christian Nelson told Case LKN. Where's the damn quote? Sorry. I apologize. I want to.
All right. So while he's looking for the quote, I've got the sign here. Let's take a look at this.
Thank you, sweet Jesus.
No, that's not racist at all.
No, not at all. This is the outgoing mayor, and want to get it right here. His name is Roger Jones. It's over, done, and forgotten about as far as I'm concerned. Kind of like his mayoral seat. I thought it's stupid. I can't believe anybody would do that, but apparently he thinks it's no big deal. Then why does he think it's stupid? If it's no big deal, why does he think it's stupid? And I don't know what color this guy is. This mayor, I'm assuming he's in Nebraska. Nick, would be fair to assume that he's not African American, and he's not Hispanic, and he's not a minority? I got my mayor's
on the side that he isn't any of those things.
Okay.
At the same time, I will admit the sign made me chuckle a tiny bit. It's still terrible. It's still very offensive, but I chuckled a tiny bit. But I can completely understand why lots of people would be very offended by that.
You racist! Denounce and reject yourself right now.
I'm not. Okay, I found it funny because
I give you credit. You did chuckle at it. I didn't chuckle at the fact. I chuckled at it for once. Obama and thanks were not in the same equation. It was actually Africa. That's why I chuckled at it, because I'm so used to seeing that whole hashtag thanks Obama for everything. Even like liberals have taken it back. Oh, no school today, thanks Obama. You know, lost my job, thanks Obama. You know, so that's why I chuckled a little bit, but that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
So we have a picture of.
Oh, you found one.
Yes.
See, this is why I have a great producer.
Of Ted Grease, is that his name?
No, well, that actually Roger Jones. I think Teddy is if I could, the incoming mayor.
Oh, okay.
Roger Jones. Yep.
Okay, so
still white. Okay. So I'm betting that Roger Jones is still probably white.
Most likely. I
mean, not that it matters, but like I'm floored. The whole thing. It's obviously offensive. But I was the most offensive by the outgoing mayor's statement. No big deal. It's like we had this discussion. Jeff, were you here for this discussion? Where
let me show you why it's no big deal.
Why is it no big deal?
That would be why. That's Roger Jones, outgoing mayor of Minden, Nebraska.
Oh yeah. See, I was right. Yeah. Okay. For GE. I could see him on any bank board. He's white enough. I don't know. There are lots of ways this can be offensive, and I just don't get why this country can't get beyond this. Like people can't just.
There's a political party and a movement that feels as though these people from immigrants, African Americans, Latinos, minorities essentially are taking over, and the political parties and the people in charge have a tendency to use that feeling to, get ahead and to manipulate it's using fear. It's a fear tactic.
Yeah. Well, that's the. I guess it goes back to messaging too, because everything goes back to fear with them. Benghazi. Oh, 9/11. It happened on 9/11. That means it must have been terrorism. However you believe it turned out, whatever. I don't necessarily buy the whole White House meme on it, that it was just the thing, but it could have been, and then added fuel to the fire, so to speak. But when you talk about this, when you do these signs, people say things like, no big deal. This is why we're not progressing. This is why we're not moving forward when we have an African American president, and this is why it should be so disgusting to more people, and it's not, which is just sad. And I'm talking in general. Where when we go back to the story we did a minute ago with the tweets, where they just, oh, he's a king, and he did, and oh God, they were all butthurt because he used a Bible verse. Like, how dare he, black guy, take I just can't wrap my head around it.
This happens, though. It happens. A lot of people dislike him. And the reference to tyrant and king are old. They're crying out loud. Frickin' Andrew Jackson was considered had pictures drawn of him in kingly garb, basically saying he had taken over as monarch of the United States and stuff. So that sort of rhetoric isn't old. The racial element is new. The racial element, as far as the president, is very new, and that's what's troubling. It's that tied to the dictator thing.
Okay.
I think the Generalissimo comments about him are much more indicative of racial leanings than anything else.
They're doing that? I haven't heard that.
Not strictly that term, but they've been doing things like that before. Grand Dictator Obama and dictator and stuff. Because dictator and monarch are two different things.
Yeah, well, yeah. Nick, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because I have a biracial daughter. Maybe because this sounds so corny. I've had black family members because I married into a black family. Maybe that's it, that I don't get it anymore, and I just don't see how somebody can be that way to another person. It doesn't compute in my brain, and
It's very easy when you don't have to face that person directly.
Yeah. And I still don't know. Maybe is it a flaw that I don't get it, or is it possibly a good thing that I don't get it?
No, it's probably a good thing. All right, next.
Yes, let's go to something that I do get completely. This is a Fox News source, so this will be fun, kids. Let's do Fox News. Utah revives the plan for executions by firing squad. That's right, folks. Some Utah lawmakers want to allow firing squads to execute prisoners again to avoid problems with lethal injection drugs. The proposal came from, you guessed it, a Republican state representative, Paul Ray, who would call for a firing squad if Utah cannot obtain the drugs 30 days before a scheduled execution. Ray says he thinks it's the most humane way to kill someone because an inmate dies instantly. An interim committee approved the idea Wednesday. Yay! Doesn't that warm your heart? But lawmakers must sign off in their session next year. Pro-lifers, aren't they great? Nick, thoughts?
Well, this might do more. Well, I was gonna say this might help actually speed up the end of the death penalty, but probably not. Just because I was gonna say if it's much harder to actually take a life if you're actually looking at it, but if in that case, I just think all the people who are actually committing the execution will probably just have undiagnosed mental trauma that's not going to be covered. So that'll just create more problems down the road. This is troubling. That rather than just stop killing people, they've opted instead to try to find different ways of killing people. I will admit, that is a little troubling. It's not like we're talking. It's not like there's a war going on. At least
well,
not. Supposed to not be.
I also want to. We're talking about Utah here too, right? If you know anything about the Mormon Church, and I've always been fascinated by the Mormon Church.
Oh yeah,
Their founder was executed in like a ambush jail type thing, and killed by a gun. So you would think, and I don't believe I'm saying it this way, considering we're talking about execution by firing squad, you would think that Utahnians would be up in arms over the fact that this is what they're going to approve for Utah to kill someone with. And humane way? Really? No. Can we get? There's no deterrent here. The execution is for revenge purposes only. It always has been, always will be. I do not buy the deterrent argument because nobody goes in to, go do one of these crimes thinking, oh, well, I might not do it because I might go in a death penalty. They're gonna do it. If they're gonna want to commit a crime, they're gonna do it. It's not a deterrent. It's not humane, and I'm not surprised coming from Republicans. Any further thoughts, Jefferson? And I keep calling you Ken, Nick. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yes.
I've renamed you from.
It's okay. You're right. There is no deterrent in the same way that banning substances doesn't stop people from using it. Neither would fatally or capital punishment on crimes deter them from that. Because people operate, even criminals operate from the assumption they're not going to be caught. So they're going to gamble the odds regardless.
Well, it's the
same reason young people will smoke. They'll go, oh, it looks cool, and I'll be fine. I'll get out before it starts to kill me. It happens all the time. Everybody makes mistakes like that. So death penalty doesn't stop anything.
Yeah, and the reason I keep calling you Ken, Nick, in this particular story is because I mentioned this before the start of the show. Our Canadian fascist who listens is very pro-death penalty.
Yes, he is.
And I could almost, if he's watching the show, I could almost see his tweets on this particular.
He's been quite active in the chat since the beginning. He's been extremely active.
I don't doubt it. But it's not a deterrent. Jesus, I wish I could deter people from thinking that it's a deterrent. But it's not going to happen. Because we live in a center-right country. Ain't that grand? Any other thoughts, Jeff? Would you like to say anything about this before we move on?
There's really nothing here that we haven't already addressed on this whole point.
That we already beat to death.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The evidence is there.
I almost wish that Sean kept his half-assed promise and showed up tonight, because I wonder. I haven't seen his view on this. Is he pro-death penalty or?
No.
Pretty sure he's anti.
He's definitely anti-death penalty.
Okay, then
the
he would have
state does not have
the right to take lives.
Yeah, he says the state should not have the power to kill someone.
Okay, all right. That argument I can even respect. Fair enough. Final story.
That's very libertarian of him.
Yeah, no, it is. And Jeff, before we do the final story, do you want to do any questions or anything, or how do you want to do that part, or no, or up to you, or
that's up to you, really. If you want to take questions.
I don't mind if Nick, if you don't mind reading them, if we have them, and somebody's maybe willing to, ask them.
Questions.
After of course, my barking dog shuts up and we do this last story.
Okay, we'll do the last story now. I've put out the thing to see if there's any questions. So
okay, fair enough. Okay, let's I think even atheists can get behind this particular story from my favorite fun news source, metro.co.uk. Jinn Advent Calendar is the only Advent calendar you need this year. Yes, I shit you not. But let's face it, it's that chocolate that never lives up to its name. Instead, this year, why not welcome every morning of Advent with a spot of gin? Do remember, though, that it's not the done thing to arrive at work in a fog of alcohol fumes. That would probably get you fired. Yeah, or not get you to work at all. So while you can open the door first thing, just like you did as a child, perhaps wait until the evening to actually crack open your dram. So, Nick, I mean, I'm assuming you're an atheist, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm agnostic. A resident agnostic lately. I think this is pretty cool. If I was gonna go back to the Advent calendar, this is the way I'd go. What about you? Maybe not gin, but.
Well, I am a fan of booze, so that's a thing. I would do the Advent calendar. I wouldn't give a crap about whatever it says in there. But I've had calendars like that for ages with the chocolates. And then when I was younger, there were the ones with the Lego calendars too. Those were fun. But none of them were overtly religious either. So I would do it. I'd be like, yep, I'm getting drunk tonight. Yep. I'd probably be like, let's just open several days at once. It's a weekend.
Jeff,
the hell with this regimen.
And add some of that Alex Jones elixir to it, too. Or not. Jeff, any thoughts on this?
I like booze. I like tacos.
I'm the only one who doesn't...
I love lamp.
Sure. If you want. That's up to you, buddy.
Whatever
floats your boat.
I would be the guy who would give you guys my gin Advent calendar, because that would.
Gin is wonderful. Gin is delicious stuff.
I don't drink. I don't drink. So I could be your designated driver to get you to work if you wanted to have the gin in the morning. So
that'd be amazing.
Have a little gin. Ooh, gin for Jesus. Yay. Ooh,
Jesus wanted us to be happy.
gives all new meaning to Jesus juice. And it's not so bad now. Do we have any questions, Joey?
I am looking. Jeff, you check. I told them to tweet at you and at me. I don't see anything. Yeah, actually, let me try the TYT, this one.
Yep.
I thought we were going to talk about Michelle Bachmann. I got the video ready and everything.
We still have been. Let's go to Bondage Bachmann.
All right. We'll do that. Give us more time for questions.
Yeah. She's always fun. She's talking about Barack Obama. Of course she is. She's bashing him. Play the clip. Let's go. And Michelle Bachmann, come on.
But let me talk about what's happening at the White House with regard to immigration and your opinion. The fact that the president may come through with executive action, that immigration may change, that so many people may begin to flood into this country so quickly, is that, in your opinion, one of the most dangerous things, and then creating one of the most dangerous times in America we've seen in a long time?
This will be the most significant achievement of President Obama's second term. It is what he has wanted from the very beginning, and that's to flood our nation with millions of new sure-thing Democrat voters. And the reason why is because he wants to bring a flood of individuals into the country who will be looking to the United States government as their source of supply. It is sad that that's the direction that the president wants to take the country. It is a cynical view. It isn't what the American people want. And more importantly, the president will be undercutting those who are the American workers in our country. We'll see millions of jobs no longer go to the American worker, and we will see a vast reduction in wages and benefit package for the American people. That won't help the Democrat Party. The president's actions will hurt the Democrat Party in future elections, but the president unfortunately doesn't care, because his long-term view is that it will ultimately deliver voters for the Democrat Party.
First of all, with this clip, I want to point out what she did there. Before we even get into the, did you hear how she, Democrat Party? Did you hear that? Every time, Democrat. It's like emphasis on the rat. Oddly enough.
That's normal.
But no, it's
that's like a normal, smear with these guys.
I know, but
like, yeah, that's nothing new.
But when she says it, I don't know. I think there's a particular joy in her voice. It's like, ooh, baby Jesus, Democrat. I just, I think there's like the particular joy when she says it, as much as disdain. Because she feels like she's jabbing us every time. If you lean Democratic Party, you're gonna feel hurt by that, and I don't know. But to the basis of it, she went in. First, she said that it was going to be something that was going to be a boon for the Democratic Party in terms of votes, right? Then she turned it around and said it was going to hurt them. So, Michelle, or Bondage Bachman as I like to call her, which one is it? Is it going to be a hurt or a help? Because I think she's been watching too much Alex Jones. Nick?
I love how it's politicized, how everything has to be politicized, because we can't have hundreds of thousands of people who are looking for better lives without politicizing that. Of course not. That's ridiculous. Who ever heard of such a thing? Everything must be politicized. That's probably the part that infuriates me the most, is it's like, oh, it'll be a boon for the Democrats, because all she fucking cares about is the election. All she cares about is who's in power and who gets elected. Doesn't give a crap about poor people. Doesn't give a crap about people who came here because they think this is a place where they can make better lives. Only cares about who they vote for. That's it. That's all she cares about. Maybe most of the Democrats do too, but I like to think at least some of them have more of a conscience than that.
Nick, I gotta push back. She does possibly care whether or not they're gay. There's another thing that she may care about, whether or not they're gay, because Marcus and his retraining camp that he has, that I like to call it, because I wordsmith things. So that's a possibility, and then the election. But she is very single-minded in all this. It goes, and I'm still stunned that she used both. It's like 1 minute, oh yeah, I care about that, and the next, oh, it was very wishy-washy in that, where it's they're going to lose and then they're going to win, but this is, and the only thing you got for sure with her was Obama's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sorry, Jeff and I are busy saying lewd things to each other. It's funny.
Well,
we're posting your questions in the chat, guys, so that
yeah,
we can
okay.
see them.
Yeah, okay. See, and my computer would crash if I went to the lewd things that you were saying. So I can't.
No.
I will,
it's enough of you.
I will deal with the both of you later.
But no, she just angers me. Her stupidity infuriates me, and I'm amazed that people actually listen to her. It's like, wow.
And if Hillary, I will point out, she has threatened to be very involved in 2016 if Hillary gets the nod from the Democratic Party. So this is the only time I'll say I'm ready for Hillary. So Hillary, go get her.
Hillary, take a bat, go back and beat the crap out of Bachman. Be done with it.
Oh,
don't actually do that. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, bad.
Oh god, the Hillary bot's already on it. Ah, crap.
Though a cat fight between the two of them would be kind of fun to watch, and we could probably raise like charity money, like little mud wrestling between. between Bonnie.
No, neither of those people are attractive. Oh my goodness.
Well, what? She's not.
There's nothing appealing about either of them. They intellectually are lacking, and they are physically lacking too.
Come on.
Personality one might be somewhat fun. Hillary might be kind of fun personality-wise, but other than that, ugh.
She gotta have at least awesome stories about Bill.
Oh, well, that's true, but that wouldn't involve mud wrestling. That would just involve like sitting around with like a pipe and smoking and telling stories. I'd be like, "Yep, this will do."
Yes, but I would say celebrity wrestling, maybe, if not mud wrestling.
Oh,
that would be
dear
fun.
God, no mercy.
We could buy that because everything's due again. Jeff, any thoughts?
Nope. I'm all set.
You're continuing to do the lewd comments back and forth? Okay, thanks. Spot on. Distract Nick for me completely. Thanks.
We're trying to get questions.
Yeah, they're apparently not so much.
We got some, but
we got some.
A couple. They're in the chat here.
Okay, let's do them. I'm game. Right. Go ahead.
First and most importantly, what is your favorite beer? Innocent Gun. It's delicious. Go get it. Tom?
I don't drink, so that's really easy. None. Jeff?
Favorite beer? The cheapest one. If it's free...
Dear God, if you say Pabst, I'm going to punch you.
If it's free, I'll take it.
Except unless it's Pabst, right? You take Pabst, it will punch you.
I haven't had it.
Pabst Blue Ribbon hipster beer. Don't touch it. All right. Next up, we have Polly69, giggity. This question, when GOP majority takes over in Senate, will they have enough votes to override Obama vetoes? I have no idea. That's your country, Tom. You tell me.
I think there are enough Blue Dog Democrats where I'd say probably. Because they, like Mary Landrieu style, and that should scare a lot of so-called progressive liberals that they would go and do that. And that's why, if anything, you need to be emailing, tweeting, everything. Whenever a vote comes out and to override, you need to get on the worst conservative ones and say, act like a Democrat. God, I did it again. Act like a Democratic Party member. Do not vote with the Republicans. We will ruin you. We will watch you. We will own you. And they need to be reminded and kept to task because they will feel that that's the only way they can keep their seats on key votes to be able to say, yeah, I didn't go with Obama. And that, to them, is the selling point. We need to be strong and keep them from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff?
Sorry, I haven't been paying attention.
Drinking some beer, are you?
I wish.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm doing producer stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So the next one is from Lucy. She asked, question, is my Alex Jones type conspiracy correct? Is Canada going to invade in America and is using the snow as cover? And can I get Alex Jones to say my conspiracy? You'll have to ask Alex Jones. I can tell you that you need to stop asking so many questions, Lucy, because that doesn't end well for anybody. Stop it. But no, on a serious note, no. I hate the snow so much. You guys have it. I don't want it. Canada doesn't want to invade you. Canada doesn't want anything to do with you, really. So no, stop. Take the snow. Go away. Leave us alone.
I don't want your snow. You can have it back.
Take the damn snow, Tom, and like it.
I do not want your snow. I do not want your snow, bitch. Don't make me cut you. I will cut a bitch over more snow.
Whoa now. Let's take it easy here.
And no tearful apology over it either.
No, kiss my ass. No tearful apology. Next was, by the way. Next was question: who is worse off governmentally, Canada or America? America. Overwhelmingly so. We're getting pretty bad too in Canada, but still light years away from that, thankfully. We gotta turn our shit around too. So
number one. We're number one. See, that's where I get to chant. We're number one. Yes, America. Ding, ding, ding. Jeff?
Oh boy.
What's that?
America or Canada? Who's worse off?
Oh, America. America.
Easy.
Leaps and bounds. Yep.
Oh, now I got one. I got a hard one. Florida or Texas?
Florida or Texas? The hell do you mean by that?
Who's worse off? Florida or Texas?
Florida.
Florida.
Why Florida?
Because, dude, come on. At least Texas has some liberal bastions in it.
Yes.
Florida,
everything of the sort.
Florida has old people migrating to it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to say Texas. I'm gonna be the bastard. I'm gonna go with Texas. As bad as Florida is, it ain't Texas. And if the guy who wants to cut Florida in half to save it from climate change gets its way, and you have South Florida and North Florida, that could be a thing. So, yeah, there's hope for Florida.
Good.
I don't think so.
Hey, did you see what I did? Did you see what I did there, though, you guys? You missed it. I was optimistic.
Can't even tell anymore, man.
Sorry, Tom. Your glass is still full of half full of piss.
Fuck you.
Sorry, I had to go earlier.
Fuck you and fuck you.
Okay. And then last question: will Obama actually veto Keystone XL, or will he cave to GOP assholes? I don't know. It's anyone's guess at the moment. It really depends on. Well, I don't know. There's too many variables. I don't know.
Nick,
yeah.
There are only two. If he's gonna make them keep trying to be a dick, like I heard some liberal pundits talk today, he'll veto it. Like if he wants to fight everything now because he thinks they're gonna impeach him, just to be like start throwing sand in their eye for the next 2 years, he'll do it. But if he's gonna keep this go along to get along Obama routine that he's done, he's not gonna veto it. He'll sign it, and then there'll be war, and then we'll invade you. Oh, and that actually reminds me, because Jamie sent me a question on Twitter.
He asked, wouldn't having immigrants and cheap labor be of benefit to the economy? That's what's making China's economy rising. Yes and no. China's economy rises because they produce a lot of things. A lot of other countries, though, have instead of moving from markets based on producing quantity, have moved towards producing more quality. And I know that line is blurring, especially in recent years, because machinery is more effective for a lot of in China and stuff. So things are getting easier to produce quality quickly, but there is still a degree of an artisan market in other countries, and some people who do pride themselves on building working and functioning materials and products. And I think that that reputation is one that would be harder to kill than it was anything else. So that would be my guess.
You want an easier answer?
Yes.
We shouldn't be using a cheap labor as an excuse to screw poor people. I'm tired of seeing us do that. We should be better than that. We should be a land of immigrants and be pro-immigration and have a VAT tax and actually regulate and be a liberal progressive society that outpaces China, because we force people to buy our stuff and have real trade deals, not these bullshit TTIP, TPP, all that crap, and be not corporatist. But it ain't ever going to happen. Half full piss, back to being bad. See, Jeff, are you happy now?
Yes, I'm giddy.
Yeah, and dirty, apparently, according to Nick.
Yep. Oh, goodness.
Do we have anything else in there that we need to plug or anything?
Yes. One question was from Lucy. What government official would you give a throat punch to? One that is so hard their dad's nuts hurt. Ted Cruz, because I hate him and his dad, and that would be delicious for me.
I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna be a little nuanced here. I'm getting to the point where I'm not advocating violence ever. I'm really getting to that point. And as funny
What's
as
wrong with you, Tom? You used to be cool.
I'm trying to be consistent now with everything, and to be not for revenge with the death penalty. I have to be consistent. Though I do agree with you, Nick. The old me. Fucking Ted Cruz. Or Rand Paul. It's a real fucking toss-up. It's a horse race, because both daddies need it too. And it's so close. But I think I kind of can like Rand Paul sometimes enough to give him a pass, and Ron Paul sometimes enough to give him a pass, because at least they seem genuine in everything. So
to an extent, they're certainly more genuine than Ted fucking Cruz. The man who thinks net neutrality is a bad thing now because Obama. He's an idiot.
Well, there's that, yeah.
Oh dear.
Does he make your brain here?
Oh yes, he does. Lots of things are making my brain hurt these days. Lots of people.
I hear you on that one. Any other questions? Or does Lucy have a dozen more for us?
Well, look, if she does, most of them will probably involve throat punching. I'm generally going to distance myself from that rhetoric.
Yes.
Unless we're talking a figurative, intellectual, not real actual throat punch, then yeah.
We'll move on to sword punching in the face instead.
Where's the frying pan when you need one?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Okay. I was just thinking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't do that.
Okay.
You make the hamsters work hard.
Yeah. I think that's everything.
Yeah,
pretty much is.
Jeff, thank you for letting me do this. You made me bust my YouTube cherry really hard with the hosting thing. I hope I didn't ruin it for everybody tonight because I had a lot of fun, even though I've been scared shitless the whole time.
Does this mean that you can now videotape future Some Say radio shows and post those up?
Oh, hell no. Because I will not go near the comment section. I will find a bathtub and be like the Romans. Yeah, no, I not anytime soon. Maybe once in a while I'll do this if you want me to, but I have a comfort zone with you guys, so I'm okay in that zone, but beyond that, no. Yeah, no, I like the radio, and it's more old school for me.
Fair enough. Thought I'd ask.
Hey, yeah, no, I like what Kyle does with the edited clips, throwing them on there, and then doing like blog talk radio. I did think about that, and I've tried to do that, but it's a lot to keep up with, and I don't know how you do it. And I want to give a lot of credit to you, Jeff, for how you do this show and everything else. That's why I try to promote you as much as I can and everything else, and like you, Nick, and everybody on it, because you guys are so good at what you do, and you're so loyal to it, and it's refreshing to see when we get a little catty and cat fight sometimes as a progressive movement.
I drink an inhuman amount of caffeine.
Oh, it's caffeine. I thought you were going to say beer.
Cat fight as a progressive movement. We're moving beyond cat fights now. We're going to be facing what is a substantial rift in progressives at the moment.
Nick,
it's something that needs to be faced.
At some point, Nick, you and I need to talk about that on the show, and since apparently you have more free time to do that, maybe you'll
see
be
what
more.
I can do.
Yes. I do, Jeff, if I could plug two things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, tomorrow Nikki is doing the old time radio revival hour. We do royalty free, like Dracula and stuff, and it's on at 8 p.m. I believe. Then she replays it. Look in My Libs Live hashtag for the tweets. Really cool stuff that she finds, and about it. Some of them are long, some of them are short. But either way, they get replayed, and everybody who has listened seems to love it for a Saturday night thing to do. So there's that. And is Truth Mashup on Saturday? Am I getting that right?
Truth Mashup is having an all-day show on Saturday, and watch out, they're taking over the Young Turks Twitter stream, and they'll be doing live shows tweeting from that. So they're going to do an all-day kind of marathon thing, so check that out, starting sometime in the afternoon. And we're off next week because of the holiday, so yeah, we're off for Thanksgiving because we're lazy Americans.
I don't know what
dirty Americans.
I don't know what the Some Say schedule is yet. We're kind of playing that by ear, but probably we'll do it full week because you're off and not be so lazy. So if you guys want to stop by and say hello, you're more than welcome. And Sunday, for those who don't know, we got it confirmed. Matt McNeil will be on the show the first hour. All I ask is, I know usually I allow swearing and stuff. Try to keep it to a minimum, because maybe he can put it on AM 950 and we could get some more press for Some Say. So if you could do that, that would be great. If you call in to the conference when we open it up to that after the first maybe half hour. That's my only request ahead of that.
And also, I'm going to plug, of course, the Patreon page. Support us here on Support What I Do. Since I do a lot, even when I'm not hosting, I'm still editing the crap out of clips and doing graphics and shit. And so your support really helps. I want to thank all the people who are, who support us through Patreon and, support what we do here. Couldn't keep doing the show without you guys. Likewise
with mine, who have done the GoFundMe. on our campaign with that. Thank you for those. You guys know who you are. And but please support Jeff if you can. And Jeff, I promise, as soon as I can, I will.
Understand, man. It's tight everywhere.
I gave $300 to get Jeff some advertising, folks. What did you guys do today?
Fair enough. Fair enough. And
donate. Help spread the show.
And if you can't donate, do what I do. Spread the word, because that also helps. Because that Jeff might find a whale in that spreading the word. You know, you never know.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the way that the show works is that we get people involved. So, you know, you can always be a panelist as well, be part of the show instead of just support the show. We always appreciate that. Like Tom going from, you know, viewer to panelist to host, you know, to guest host.
And this
same thing for Sean, same thing for everybody so far who's stepped up to guest host.
And this was really out of my comfort zone, Jeff, and I wouldn't have done it if I didn't know you guys were going to be behind me 100%. And I really do appreciate all the people who said, do it. Because, honest to God, this scared the crap out of me, and thank you.
I imagine.
So, thank you.
Well, appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on and doing the work, Tom, and you know, presenting some stuff.
No, I appreciate the ability to, and if you ever need me to do it again, I'm more than willing if I can. And
we'll be needing guest hosts for you know, till April, and actually, you know, what I want to do starting in the future is to start getting rotating regular hosts. So, you know, so everybody has a chance to really get in there and see what it's like, and to lead the discussion, and you know, that's what TYT community it's about. It's about building, you know, a community of people who lead discussions and talk about important issues.
No, exactly right. And I do appreciate this opportunity, and this I didn't do any public speaking after my parents' wedding disaster for an anniversary, and this really took me out of my comfort zone into the big pond of YouTube. So especially on something that I never thought I'd be on, affiliated with TYT. So
you'll find the big pond of YouTube. It's actually more of a shallow pool, but you know.
Okay, fair enough. But either way, I still appreciate it. So keep the hate mail coming, bitches.
But to our viewers, we love you guys. As always, have a great holiday week off, and we'll see you back. Actually, we'll see you back on Saturday for the Truth Mashup thing, and until then, we'll see you for the next show. We don't know who we have lined up, so we've got time to put your hat in the ring to be a guest host here on TYT Community. So you know how to find me.
Sky God, would you like me to take it out? And then have our creepy thing taken out?
Yeah, if you're ready to close out the show.
Yeah, unless anybody has anything else they want to plug, Nick, or like I said, if you want to come by Sunday at 6, you're more than welcome to. We're going to have a long show because of No Truth Mashup, and to thank you guys for putting up with this first week of tech hell. So stop on by and mylibrules.com, and of course hashtag mylibslive. I appreciate everybody using that hashtag for us. It's been a great success. So thank you, Jeff, and thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye, guys. Yum, 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 yum.